I am getting that started right now. So you should be seeing a recording notice popping up. And I will just preface this with we did record the previous remote BillTracker training. For some reason, Teams decided it was going to record it, but not the shared screen. So we ran some tests yesterday and things should be fine, but just so anticipate this training being posted to the DAS legislative site. However, there is a slight chance that we'll have technical difficulties again, but we're going to give it a shot. So today's being recorded. Yes, there is a transcript running in the background as well. For me, I think the biggest disappointment of the previous training not being successful was that it was a really good training. It's really hard, and I think a lot of you know, when we're doing something that's 100% remote, it can be really hard to get folks to engage and for it to be more of an interactive and a lively presentation. Last training session, we just had some folks who were really engaged. They were asking questions, and it makes the training better. So I'm just really going to invite everyone on this call today. BillTracker provides these trainings for our benefit. Many of you have seen me messaging over the last couple of months that there's been some updates to BillTracker this time around. So you guys are going to be seeing some new things, and I really encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity we have with Michelle and Kevin, and ask the questions, because I think there's a pretty good likelihood that we get sort of this information dump from Michelle today, and we're looking at this and we're like, okay, awesome, cool, this is going to be great. And then if another 5, 6, 10 days passes before bill drop happens, then you log in and you're like, okay, wait, how's that work again? So, ask for examples, ask if they can repeat something if you didn't catch it. Ask for clarification. Michelle's going to be sharing her screen pretty much the whole time. And so that makes it a little harder to track if you have your hand raised. So I'm just going to ask everyone to kind of like take a step back in time, back into like old school when we actually met in human rooms and you just kind of like spoke up and everyone just kind of talked to each other. Please just go ahead and unmute yourself and talk if you have a question or something you want to add on. The intention is for this to be interactive and for you to be engaged. But ultimately, how much you get out of this, we'll leave up to you. So we are scheduled here for 2 hours. Should be plenty of time. So again, feel free to jump in and ask questions if you have it. And other than that, I am going to turn things over to Michelle. I do see a hand in a chat. Again, I'm going to ask for you guys to just go ahead and speak up and ask questions because it is hard to track the chat when we're
really
screen
quick,
sharing.
Malia, just because I was just reading them, and one of the things that hello everyone, Michelle. One of the things I wanted to mention that Malia does very, very well when we're in person is getting, if you do not have a login for BillTracker, she's been able to connect you with the right agency and set that all up for you. So because we are not in person and you can't walk to the back of the room and get her to do that, if you do not have a login to BillTracker, maybe if you could chat her while this is happening, Malia, does that seem like the best route for you to get? Okay, awesome. And then she can kind of set you up on the side with the BillTracker as we move through this part of the process.
Sounds good.
Thank you. This is Jardima. I'm logged into BillTracker. Thank you for sending me my login. Appreciate that. Can we just like click along with you? Is that where we're supposed to be? We're supposed to be logged on, doing it with you.
Yes.
That would be great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really
Everyone
appreciate
do what Jardima just said.
Better than taking a nap. Oh. Well, that's up for argument, but
better for us than you taking a nap.
Okay. Okay, so let's launch. I'm gonna stay off the chat and let Malia and Kevin handle any of that stuff while we move through it. But welcome everyone. If we could kind of going through this training, there's a couple levels of different of users in our system, in the state system. So if we could if you could all raise your virtual hands here really quick and tell me how many of you have this your firm in the orange bar. So if you could all just kind of raise your hand quickly, if you have that orange bar, that will give me an idea of the group that's on here. Okay. Awesome. So typically how we've been doing that part of the training is at the end of my kind of shtick, I'll come back around and explain the your firm drop down just so that if people want to drop off at that point, they can. This area, this your firm area, is really kind of the office manager BillTracker area. So you set up the users, you set up your departments or division names, things like that, that are more of the kind of workflow part or the work process part of it, what we label things in the system for your agency. So we'll hit that at the end so we don't have to sit through and make everyone else sit through that part. So if you're lucky enough to have that, stay tuned. All right, so there are a couple things though I just want to touch base with very quickly on this your firm if you have it. So in this your firm, you will see a when I click on the your firm, you're brought to a page where hopefully let's see here. I'm kind of in the spinning ball section here. You're basically going to assign what your definitions or the labels that you're going to create for your bills or how you're going to file your bills. So you'll see in here, I've labeled it a division. So this is where I can file my bills under quote divisions. Yours might be departments, they might be issue areas. We'll have to look at that when we get to those areas and what you're defining them. We can all define them differently. So for the sake of today's demo, I'll just call them divisions. And then the next area I'll call an issue area. So keep that in mind as we're going through. We might be all using different verbiage when we're labeling and how we're filing the bills. Okay, so let's go into the calendar where we just were. So you'll see in this calendar section over here, man, I am having a slow internet.
Can I interrupt just so you
Please,
know
yes.
what's going on in the chat? A lot of us are getting error signs or it's just lagging a lot, and it might be because we're all logging in at once, but I haven't been able to get in. I have in the past, just not right now.
Yeah, I too am having a very large login. Okay, Kevin's checking on it right now, so make sure that we're up to speed here. But thank you. So follow along on my screen and then we will hopefully catch that up as we move along here.
Is it an
Okay.
issue if
Yeah.
I'm on here, if my bill tracker says OHA when I'm actually ODHS? Is that a problem?
That means you're not currently part of ODHS, and so you should ping Malia right now in the chat and she will set you up under the correct agency.
So I shouldn't be interacting in this module? Because I'm not going to see what I need to see. Is that it?
Yeah, you'll get the general gist of the platform, but you'll want to reach out to Malia and have her move you over into that other agency.
And I'm just going to add for those of you who need either an account set up or an account transferred over, when you message me, if you could please send me your full name, your current email, and the current agency you need to be in. That's what we'll need to get you set up.
Okay. All right, so let's launch into BillTracker here. When you log on to BillTracker, you will land onto the calendar page. You will see in here, you can learn a bunch of information. I'm going back in time because we do not have any bills currently today, thankfully. So you will see I've highlighted this February week here. There's a bunch of information we can learn on this screen. You'll see when I highlight this week, we've got the different dates down here, by day. And so anything that was heard during that day will be listed there in the days. We've got the calendar invite here. And then this movie projector will be a link into the committee hearing. And so as your, if you need to watch committee from afar, you can come in and use this movie projector. Besides this calendar page, for all the bills, you will be receiving notifications on the bills. You'll be receiving any updates about the bills. You will receive via email as well. So all the calendars will populate into your calendar if that's how you set up your personal calendar. So this is just basically a second visual to that if you're in charge of tracking it. You will be able to see, if you're a bill manager in the system, you will be able to see other bills that you're not necessarily the bill manager from or to. And so you'll be able to see your entire group on this page as well. All right, let's go into bills. And so when I click, we are geared up and ready for the 2025 bills to load into the system. So we anticipate in the next week, we will get all of those bills. The initial, I shouldn't say all of them, but the initial swath of bills will be uploaded into OLIS, and we'll immediately grab them and pull them into BillTracker. So you'll be able to start the tracking process. When that happens and the bills get loaded into our system, you'll be able to come in here and click on the word bills, and that will load all of the bills that that have been introduced thus far. Today will be the bills in the last and that have been introduced that day. Also, as session progresses, it will be bills that were introduced within the last, that either have been introduced or have changed within the last 24 hours. So if they were amended, they will appear, quote, new, and under that today drop down. Recent will be bills within the last 10 days. And so those will be bills that you have changed or are brand new within the last 10 days. So if you're looking for kind of narrowing the time frame, those are some good drop downs for you. And tracked bills will obviously be a list of your tracked bills. The reviews here, I'm going to come back to this because I want to talk about this workflow at a separate point for us. But we'll come back and deal with that. So let's go into some bills. I'm going to have to go back to a previous session and look at them because we're standing by and ready for the 25 bills. We might need people to drop off. Kevin, is that what you think? Okay. We've got our guy looking as to why this is lagging right now, but I definitely don't want to have 2 minutes in between me clicking on these bills. So we might have to log off. You guys log off a BillTracker while I demo and then bring people back on if this continues to be the situation, which I think it is. So should I just have people log off? Okay, so this is annoying, but if people could log off for a little bit, I'll tell you when we've amped the system up and we can come back in, but this will give me an ability to demo right now. So, okay, I'm going to go back here, bring up a session, previous session. Oh my. Okay, it's getting better. All right, so you'll see here when you will log on and click that bills word, you will land on a page, but every bill in your page will be orange. It will be untracked. It will have yet to make any decisions around it. So it'll look a little bit more like this. You can see in our system that green are tracked bills, and then blue bills are bills that are in the queue. So, and you can see down here, this will be the pages that you can scroll through the bills. So there's a bunch of information we can learn on this page. You'll see here, this is the House bill number and the version number here. You'll be able to see the relating to clause and the summary statement here. You can at any point click on this PDF and see the PDF of the bill. So if you'd like to read the bill, you can do that. And then you'll notice, so up here, we have these buttons that are clicked and unclicked. And so this button says unread. And if I acknowledge it, it will click over to kind of a check mark. The intent of this is, as you're going through the bills and trying to decide whether to put them in the queue to be tracked, you can kind of acknowledge that you've looked at this bill, you've decided you don't need to track it, doesn't pertain to your agency. So you can kind of scroll through and think, you know what, I don't need to track this bill, et cetera, and just mark it off as read. The next thing we have here are these buttons that are quick add buttons and then a add to queue button. So right now what we're going to do is start to add buttons or add bills into our queue to do is kind of a quick workflow process. So as you're going through when the bills initially drop, you can quickly add bills into your queue is like, I need to check this, I need to check this and this. All right, like so. And so now you'll see these bills have now been added into the queue. They are not tracked yet. I haven't made any decisions about it. They're not green where they'll now appear and we can get notifications on it. We've just moved them on to the next stage, which is our tracking decision. I should note, you can leave this page at this point. You can leave the page at any point and it will bring you back to this page for your workflow process. All of the bills that you put into the queue will stay in the queue for until you deal with them. So, little tip, if you were in charge of putting bills into queues last session and you maybe have left a couple of bills in your queue from the 24 session, please go in, and I'll show you in a second, and remove all those bills so that they don't stay in there as you're going through the 25 session. So once we put our bills in the queue, we'll come up here to the tracking wizard and click on the words tracking wizard over here. And we'll be brought into our tracking queue. So you can see in here, we have a few options here. We can remove this bill from the wizard. This was the button I was just referencing where you can remove all the bills from the wizard. So take a moment and do that if you're in charge of putting bills into the queue from last session. And then this lovely button here, whereas if you don't quite know what to do with this bill, you need to track it or maybe not, but you want to just kind of skip it for now and talk to so-and-so, you can do that by just pressing the skip button. It will move to the end of the tracking queue line and you can move on to actually making the tracking decisions. So let's say we are ready to track a bill. I've got, you can see here, we've got the relating to clause and the summary. We've got the bill text if we'd like to read the bill. And then we can, and then we've got to make some decisions here. First we have to pick a bill manager. So you can pick more than one bill manager, but you must pick at least one bill manager. I'm going to come right back to tags, but you also must pick a division. You might call it a department or an issue area, but you have to assign at least one division or department here. So we'll come down. You can assign more than one like I'm doing here. And then, and now once you've done those two simple things, you can come up here, click save and continue, and the bill will be tracked. It will appear green in your list and you will start to receive all your notifications on the bill. However, if we want to go further and set priority levels on this bill, we can make a few decisions right here. I'll come right back to tags, but you can assign a position to this, to your division if you want, and you can assign a priority level from 1 to 5. We at BillTracker do not tell you what a number 1 is or what a 5 is. This is an internal process that each department should set up pre-session. So Malia has a really great handout that she uses for DAS. I'm sure she would probably be happy to pass that along as well, but it assigns exactly what the value is for each of those numbers internally. So like, I think a 4 for DAS is a watch this bill kind of thing. So definitely group together before session to make sure that your agency all understands what your priority levels are.
Michelle?
Yes.
So I have a question about the division information. I used to work in HSD and now we have behavioral health and we have Medicaid. are we able to add individual fingers to this, should I say, where people, if I have Medicaid and I have someone who's in CCO, if CCO is not in there, but we do need it to be pointed to CCO, can I add a new division information section to this option, these options?
So let me reply what I think you're asking, and then let me know if it
Okay.
answers it. So you certainly can add whatever divisions you want in here. Whomever has that your firm drop down will just need to add those. It's a very easy process.
Okay.
And I'll go into that at the end. The CCO part of that, if you want a user to be able to access that part of your system, we can also do that. They will just need to become a user in your section and then basically be assigned to just read those CCO bills, which I'm happy to go over with you as well. So I think that
That took care of it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, awesome.
And then Michelle, I'm just going to add on the kind of your ranking things. So I did
Yes,
just
please.
put that matrix in the chat, the group chat for everyone. You feel free to open it, review it, use what works for you, what doesn't. I will just preface that is a document that, has been built for over a long period of time and takes from lots of best practices I've seen in other people's matrices. And then I just took them and built my own. But at the end of the day, it is important that you do have a conversation with your internal team so that you decide, whether the 1 or the 5 is your top priority, because not everyone thinks exactly the same. So regardless of how detailed you get, make sure that you let your team know whether it's the 1 or the 5 that's the super top priority and vice versa. Thanks, Michelle.
Great. Okay, you will not use the scorecard. That's mostly for users that rank legislators at the end of session, and we don't do that at this state. And then the final question here that you'll need to answer is whether you want to track or monitor a bill. So the only difference in the bill tracking system is that monitor bills do not show up on reports. You'll still get any notifications about the calendaring. You'll still get all of that fun information about what's happening to the bill if you clicked monitored. One reason you might want to do this is, let's say you're in charge of transportation bills and there's 20 transportation bills. You think 2 are kind of the top 2 that you're watching going through the system, but you want to keep track of those other 18. You can monitor those other 18. And then as you see the amendments come forward, as you see any motion of those other bills, you can always come in and edit this tracker and start to track it. So keep that in mind. It makes your reports cleaner if you don't have those 18 bills on there that you're just monitoring and aren't of importance yet. Keep those in the monitored section, and then you can just keep the tracked bills that you're tracking forefront for your reporting. I will show you an area that you can run a report of monitored bills. So that won't be a problem. Yes.
Do you get calendar invites on monitored bills, Michelle?
You do get calendar invites. Yep.
Thanks.
You get it all, and including the amendment notifications.
Michelle, is the issues tags information reportable?
Yes. Yep. Let's go to that next. And so you, as promised, we'll head back into this tags area. You will see you've got an area at the top here that says issues and tags, and then you'll see next door to each of your divisions or departments an area for tags. These are a lot like hashtags where you can run queries on your tags. You can, when I tag something up top here, like maybe I want to put agency's top priority, I can literally write whatever I want in this sun bill. I always reference the sun in these trainings. I just type it in, and now this is the sun bill, okay? When I tag up here, I have now tagged each of the agencies below. So if I pull a report of the sun bills, this right here will report back 3 agencies that are tracking this bill. To the right, over here of each division or department, I can write another tag, whatever I want to write on these tags. And then when I pull that report of all my finance bills, I will just get this administration admin division populating that report. So this is a kind of universal tag up here, and this is a much more agents or division specific tag. Okay. Lots of flexibility with the tags for better or for worse. So if you have a really large agency and you have 1 million tags, think about the complicating nature of that. But also it provides a lot of flexibility in the reporting. And as you may know, a lot of these bills will be grouped, the climate bills or the transportation package or something like that. You may want to tag those things as that governor's agenda bills, things like that, that will kind of make sense to you when you're running reports.
And
I'm
Michelle,
just going to
if
add
you,
something really quickly here before we go
Yep.
too much further. Number one, if I am creating a new account for you, I am setting you up as a very basic, just bill reviewer permission. So you or your legislative coordinator will need to go in and adjust all of your settings, etc. I'm just giving you a very basic bare bones account. So that's number one. Number two, to Michelle's point about you really put anything in that box and it'll create a tag. I just want to go ahead and take this moment to remind everyone that we are all public employees and public servants here. So all of our documentation, including what is in BillTracker, is subject to public records request. So please keep that in mind as you're working in BillTracker as well.
Okay,
Michelle,
great.
if I have
yeah,
different priorities for different divisions and I run an agency report of all my bills, what priority is it going to pull? Just alphabetical, or will it show all three, or?
It will show all three.
Okay.
Yep. With the individual priorities.
Okay.
Okay. So you may have missed this highlight here, but when I click down here under the options here and I go to show options, there's a couple more options available to us. So this is really the first place that you can start to send out review requests. So you can see up here, I have the option of setting a lead manager. The intent of this is if Kevin and I are both tracking this bill, but one of us is going to be on first base with it, then we're going to choose one of us to be the lead person for it. Just helpful. It's just another report option, really. We'll both still be getting the notifications and everything surrounding that bill. But next we can come down here and do request reviews. This is the first area. So you'll see the admin, behavioral health, and budget are all chosen. And that's because those were the 3 divisions that I chose to track this bill. So you'll come into the division that you want to request a reviewer of, and you'll come down and click. This is messy we'll click on Michelle. I can write a quick question here. Please look at section 3. I certainly don't need to do this. We will have a default language, which I will show you in a few minutes, but you're more than welcome to kind of prompt people on why you're sending this review if you need to do that. Once I've picked my reviewer person, I also can come down here to meeting notifications and click on the division that's tracking it and pick if there's anybody in this list that I want to receive notifications about this bill. So then once I've made all these decisions, I can come up here, click save and continue. This bill will go and get, the review will be sent out. We're now tracking this bill and we can move on. So initially at the beginning of session, you might just want to try to get as many bills as you possibly can into the system to be tracked, and then come back in later and edit the tracker. And that is totally fine to do as well. So keep that in mind as you're kind of thinking about your workflow at the beginning of next week when things get really busy. All right. So let's go into our bill detail page. We'll stop shortly over here in the search search tab here, you'll see we have a full array of search criteria that you can look for bills in. You can go back in time into previous sessions. We can go all the way back to the 2007 session, if you're so inclined. And you can do all of these different search criteria, from committees to the sponsor, relating to clause. One quick note here, this keyword search down here searches the entire text of the bill. So it's rather rapid, and we'll go through, or not rather rapid, it's rather thorough, where we'll go through the entire text of everything. Up here, you'll see at the top here, this keyword search just goes through the relating to clause and the summary statement. So it's a very quick search up there. You'll also notice some really fun filters down here that you can kind of, in through your search, even filter further. One of the great filters down here that's super helpful for everyone in Oregon is this active bills only. As bills begin to die in committee and the end of session is near, you can filter out those dead bills that are still in committee and just be able to look at any active bills. So so keep that in mind. So let's go and look at a bill number here, or a bill. So anytime in the system when I click on the bill number, like so, I am brought to what we call the bill detail page. So within the bill detail page, you will see a whole bunch of information, all these various tabs down here. Everything on this page is relating to House Bill 2001 in the 2021 session. So there is no other outside information here, nothing about other bills. Everything here is related to this bill. So there's a bunch of options in here that we can do. First, you'll notice over here in this tracking box, we can always go in and edit that tracking queue if we want to. It'll bring us back to that queue if we want to look at that. We can decide we don't want to track this bill anymore, and we can remove all that tracking. And then down here, this is kind of a newer button. This is where you can go in, and all of these tabs are printable. Okay, over here, you'll see at any point we can go out to the external bill information and look for that. You can see the relating to clause, the summary statement. We've got the sponsors here. And then if this bill does become an engrossed piece of legislation, you will see the effective date of that bill. And then you'll see here the issues and our interested divisions, the people that are tracking it within our agency, not people, but divisions that are tracking it. All right. So down here under these documents, you'll see this document tab with the bill versions, the amendments. We've got proposed amendments over here, and then additional documents. Now we grab all of this stuff from OLIS quite frequently during the day. So if you don't have to do anything. You're not adding anything into this part of the system. We will grab all of this stuff for you in the committees, on the floor, all the fiscal impact statements, and that updates quite often throughout the day. So all of this information lives under this documents tab. The history tab is essentially how a bill becomes a law. So you can see here we've got what the bill went through, the various committee hearings and votes. This is a very helpful area where you can see exactly who voted against the bill and who was excused for this vote. Up here under the meetings tab, this is the place that I mentioned. You can watch your meetings that have been archived. So you can come in at any point and watch these videos that are archived on the state side. So if you need to watch this committee hearing, go in and click this movie projector, and you can do so. If you miss a meeting invite from us, or you want to put some new meetings on, you can come in here and add this, just add it onto your calendar at any point with the calendar invite. I'm going to skip notes.
Sorry, Michelle, can I jump in again really quickly?
Please.
For those of you who I am setting up new accounts for, your username is your first name, last initial. Okay, thanks.
Perfect. It's good to have a water break. So I'm going to come back to notes for a section, and we will talk a little bit about reviews. So we have a lot of new features, not a lot, but we have some great new features living under this reviews tab. You will see a very helpful proposed amendment review drop down here. And so we have now, because there's 4 different areas now that you may be asked to fill out a review, we've accordioned them up so they're kind of stacked here. But you can come in at any point and click on the review area that you want to look at and look at all the reviews that are living under there. When I go into request a review here, you can now see this drop down of bills and amendments and fiscal reviews and governor reviews, et cetera, that I can ask people to review. So let's do this amendment review. So we can come in and you'll see we've got the versions in here. If you want to pick a different version, it will default to the most current version. We can come in here and pick the amendments that need to be reviewed. You can click on more than one amendment. So if Kevin needs to review both the -5s and the -3s, we can ask him to do that. And then we'll come down here and we will select our reviewer that we want to have this reviewed by, and we can also select a due date and time. You can put in a message, or you can just come here and send, and now Kevin's going to receive these 2 proposed amendment reviews. He'll fill them out. We'll grab them, of course, and store them under your review process.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah.
For those names that are in there already, are those names that we add for contacts, or is it only people that have BillTracker accounts?
Nope. Yeah. So if you have this your firm dropdown, you can add the reviewers into your system quite easily, and that's the part I will show at the end. But if you don't have that review dropdown, whomever is in charge of kind of the BillTracker part of your agency will have that, and you can ask them to add in the reviewer people that you need in there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so let's go ahead and request a review. We'll ask Michelle to do it this time since it's on my email. We can give it a due date here, and I'm not going to write a message because I want you to see the default. We'll send it over to Michelle, and you can see once I've done that, I'm brought to my page of reviewers here, or review requests for this bill. There's a little bit of information here that you can see. We've got this paper airplane where I could send a reminder to Kevin to fill out his review if I wanted to do that. I could come in because I am logged in here. I could come in and complete this review right from the page here, which is very helpful. So if you have a person who has a lot of reviews asked to them, giving them access to be able to see this reviews page where they can come right in and just complete the review is helpful. But let's pause really quick and go to my email. Can you see that? No, you can? Oh, great. I got nervous that I had to go to a different screen, but awesome. Okay. So in this is the review that I just sent to myself. I've been asked to review this bill. It will say your state agency on there. You can see the relating to clause. You've got the summary statement, when the bill review is due by, and now we can come down and click on this link. Your agency may have some instructions or an extra form or something that you've been asked to fill out that will live here in this attachment area. So you may want to also take a look, and if you're training any other reviewers or something, make sure they take a look at those attachments in case there's some instructions like what the priority levels mean, or they have an extra sheet that they need to fill out. We'll click on the link here and we'll be brought to our review request page. You can click on the House bill or the bill number at any point and read the bill. They will be able to recommend a position, and most importantly, they'll also be able to recommend a priority level based on whatever the agency has discussed as those levels. They'll be able to write any comments they want. This is a very large cell, so we shouldn't run into any problems where they don't have enough like a sunny office. Hopefully you'll get more concrete than that. And then down here, you'll see an area where you can attach any information. So the intent here really is to keep people off of Google Docs and Dropboxes and all this, and really attach, drop any background information that you might have on this bill. And then as we will then grab that information and file it within the bill, and I'll show you the materials section in a minute. But then as you have to, head into committee or you have to talk to a legislator, all of the information around this bill will now live within the bill. There is some motivation as well to do this as session by session, you're talking about the same issues or dealing with the same stuff. You'll be able to go back in time and look at any of this background information. It will live on there. Okay, you will also be able to suggest a different reviewer. So perhaps you were, perhaps you are not the right person, or you think someone else would be better fitted to fill out the review. I personally always make my dog Scooby look at these reviews. I do want to pause and say this will not automatically send Scooby a review request. This will instead send the person who requested the review a note saying, hey, Michelle recommends Scooby looks at this review. And now it'll be up to Michelle to decide if I send the review request to Scooby or not. Also down here, you'll see these additional reviewers. This will allow you to see whom else only in your agency has been asked to review this bill. So if there's potential for groupthink or you want to see what else is happening, you can go in and check that out. Finally, down here, we've got this submit review and this save for later. I'm going to go ahead and submit this review. If I did use that procrastination button over there, it will keep the link live in your email. So at any point you can come back and use it. So I'm going to click. I'll be thanked for submitting my review here. We'll come back up to BillTracker and refresh. And now you'll see when I come down into the reviews section, click on bill reviews, come down here, that we have our bill review turned in, and now we can make a decision if we want to send a review request to Scooby. All right. Moving over here, you'll see to the right here, you have a couple more actions available to you. You can, at any point, accept this review. You can archive this review, which is very helpful. It just takes it off the screen and you can always come up and show your archived reviews, or you can delete this review if it doesn't make sense. As a state agency, it's probably best if you just archive them and take them off the screen in case we have to retrieve anything. You do not have to accept reviews. They can live in this review area. However, there's a big benefit to accepting a review. So if you find a review that's particularly helpful and you want it to live in your notes section, you can come in here and click on the reviews here. You'll be asked whether you can keep your existing priority or if you want it to override your priority level. So in this case, we'll keep our existing priority by clicking on it, and we'll accept it. And now you'll see that this review has turned green, and that's because it's been accepted. It's now, the comments have moved over into the notes section, which we'll go over in a second, and we can kind of move on. And then as we run reports, that review will be will appear. So when I come over here to the notes section, you will see this drop down of the various notes that when I run a report, you'll be able to see all of these notes. Now there is an option here where you can come in and add a note. So at any point I can just force add any note I want. I can leave it not assigned to a division, or I can assign it to a division so that when I run a report of the budget division, this note will show up. You can always come in here and edit the notes or delete them as well. So keep that in mind. You can always just add a note. You don't have to send a review, accept the review, and then move it over. You can just go in and write a note in there as well.
Michelle?
Yes.
There's an option in people's authorizations that gives add a note or add an outside note or a published note? What's the difference between those?
So this is shared and unshared, and it's not the most logical way to talk about it. And so someday we will update the language for sure. But essentially, it's just a permission level that allows, if you have the shared permission level, and then you'll see there's like a drop down of different levels of that permission, you'll be able to see the shared notes. If it's an unshared, that will give you the permission on the unshared notes.
So
It's
what's
clunky.
the two?
What's that?
What's the difference between the two?
Literally nothing, right? It's just whether they have the permissions. Yeah, it's just a
Oh.
permission level.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yes, it makes no sense.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you for that question.
I
Yeah.
thought it was something like some of it was for the legislature and we shouldn't be putting anything in there. And then the other was for just us.
Well, what
Right.
it should really be is like shared within the divisions that are tracking it, or just not shared and just in that one division. That's what I have always thought it was, but I have been corrected. So it is just a permission level from the shared and unshared.
Okay.
Yeah.
That takes care of that question.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, let's go into materials here. You will see this tab for the materials section. This is where you can come in and add any background information into this bill. This is where if someone had attached something to a review and you accepted that review, we will move that material over to this section. You'll see in here, it's very easy to add material. You just go to name, give it a description here. You'll want to give it a date, and then you've got a couple options. You could just copy and paste something from the internet and give it a URL. You could drop something into a file here if you wanted to do that, a document of some sort. Just remember with the URL, you'll need to copy and paste the entire line up here. Don't just do like OregonLive.com, because then we'll go to the front page of Oregon Live. You'll need to copy and paste the entire address here. And then just remember always to click save. We are not auto saving on these screens, so that's important. All right, to my least favorite tab here, which is the votes tab. You will see in here, you'll be able to toggle. These are the individual votes that the legislators have taken. You can kind of look at them in alphabetical order. And then here, of course, is the aggregate for this particular vote. Keep in mind, you can also find all of this information under the history tab, but this is a nice way to like extrapolate it and just look at exactly the legislator you want to look at under there. Real quick on tracked votes, if you're in charge of kind of vote counting this bill or tracking this bill at any point, you can project a vote by a legislator at any point in here, and it kind of updates this pie chart over here. There's also this great section down here where you can add a note about a legislator. So if I want to come in and add any notes, it's not about the legislator, it's about the legislator's basically relationship to the bill. So maybe they need, I already put that, need more info now. You can come in and then assign it to a legislator and save that note, and then it will appear as a note up here. So you'll know there's some information there. But keep in mind, this is not anything like, oh, their legislative aide's name is Shelley too, or something like that. You don't want to do that. This is purely about House Bill 2001. All right, end of session notes over here. This is where you'll be able to write a summary post-session about the bill. Basically the script on what happened to the bill throughout the session. This is great because we have some lovely canned reports that you can then use to pop out, and we'll kind of summarize the end of session and what happened with each of your bills. This is also a very large cell, so you shouldn't run into any problems. You can write to your heart's desire. And then finally over here, my favorite option here is this linked bills. What this allows you to do is link to previous sessions. So if this bill is exactly like a bill that you dealt with in the 24th session, you can come in, link them together, and now I can toggle between those two bills that are connected. So as many of you know, have been around, you might come up to the same issue year after year, session after session. So linking those bills so that now you can go into the materials section from the previous session and see the reviews or the materials, all that fun stuff. That is a very helpful feature on here. The other part about the linked bills section that is helpful is if you encounter a bill that is introduced in the Senate and a bill that's introduced in the House in the same session, you can link them together so that as you're working through or as those bills are working through in different paths, you'll be able to see the materials and the reviews in each of those bills just by linking them together. That happens often, as you probably know. So
How
that,
do you link
friends,
them?
yep. How do you link them? You go to linked bills.
Oh, okay.
You
Thank
go to the session that you want to link to, and then you pick the bill that it was before.
Thank you. And I have one more question. Once the bill analysis is uploaded under reviews, and if I need to pull a copy of what was uploaded, do I do that under reviews or under materials?
That will be, if the review was accepted, it will live under materials. If the review just sits there and no one accepts it, it will live under the reviews.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, so that's the bill detail page. This is, a lot. Well, once you get into session, this is what we will you'll live a lot in here. All right, let's take a moment before I forget and go down into this drop down of reviews that I wanted to talk about earlier. So you'll remember you can live under here in this tab of reviews, but perhaps even more helpful up here is this drop down. So it's bills, drop down to reviews. And you can see in here, we have a great ability to manage our reviews. So I'm going to go back a little bit and show you some of what that will look like. So you will be able to filter out by your divisions if you want to look at the divisions and the reviews there. If you want to filter out by reviewer. So if you want all of your bills or all the bills that you're a reviewer for, you can come in and filter that. Keep in mind now that this drop down, you can filter by your proposed amendment reviews or governor reviews, any of that stuff. And then you'll see over here, we have some great little filters over here, including probably the most popular, this hearings scheduled. So if you need to start to ping people on outstanding reviews that for bills that have hearings scheduled, this is a great button. Also is this overdues only. So what this will do is pull up all of those bills that are late and you can ping those people as well. I think hiding the completed reviews is nice. If you're sending out a lot of reviews, you can come in here and hide those completed reviews so you don't have to see them on your screen. It kind of clears things up a little bit. And then you can see here, we've got the list of our 20 reviews that are still in here. We can ping people with this paper airplane here and remind Kevin that he needs to get his bill sent in or his review sent in. If I were logged in as someone that had been asked to review a bill, I will, like this right here, you'll see this complete review button. I can come in here now and complete the review from this page, and then it will be done and will live in this blue area until someone accepts it. So this is, remember this area, especially if you're in charge of managing a lot of reviews, or you have a lot of review where you have to actually fill out a lot of reviews. This is a really helpful drop down, this bills reviews. Okay.
May I ask a quick question about that?
Please. Yeah.
So when you say ping someone, that it sends them an email, right? It doesn't create a notification within BillTracker itself?
It will,
okay.
Right. It'll remind them via email to fill it out.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's move on to reports here. We have a really robust kind of reporting process within BillTracker. There's 3 different ways to do it. I'll spend just a couple minutes on this template reporting. So what I did is I just clicked on the word reports, and I am brought to basically all of these 15 or so, 10 plus reviews that are just templates. So we've preloaded these reports for you. There's some different options in here, search bills, end of session reports in here, a completed reviews report, and a review status report, what could be very helpful for people that are tracking a lot of reviews. And then we've got a couple of different activity reports. We'll do a tracked bills report right now since legislature is not in session. Once I click on the template that I want, I'll be asked to basically pick some parameters that I want reported. And then you can also even further narrow it that you want reported on these different, so maybe you want your priority levels, maybe you want your divisions, when different hearings. One thing that's helpful in here is that if we set up hearings from week to week and then we save this report, our system will then kind of move that date along for you so that you don't have to come in and create a new report each week. And again, don't forget this active bills only option here and the hearings scheduled filter as well. You can also see down here where we can run some monitored bills only reports. And then over even further is you can further extract this information into a different format. So whether that's Excel, CSV, or HTML, you can do it all in this format decision. So we can run that report now, which we'll do. Hold on, I made this too narrow. Oh, there we go. There are no hearings for the 23 session. So we'll run it now, and it'll look a little bit like this, where we have hopefully the logo for your department, and then we'll have the bill numbers here. These are all live links, so I can go in and toggle those at any point. And then you'll see over the next button over is this run later. What I can do is come in and give this report a name. So maybe this is the Sunny report. Everyone loves a Sun report. And then you can select the frequency in which you want to receive this report. So if I just save it right now, it's not going to automatically generate anything, but it will be saved as a report if I want to force run it at some point. But I can come in here and pick the frequency in which I want to receive it. So maybe I want to receive it daily, every Monday, or the first morning of the month. We can do that. And then it's quite easy. You just type in your recipients' names, separate them by a semicolon or space, and then you can come in here and you can just type it in. These people do not need to be part of BillTracker. You can send this report to anyone. Come in here and save here. And now you'll see when I come down to reports, saved reports here, I've got this Sunny report that I just put together. So you can start doing that now. I will tell you, I think it's really helpful to start to set up reports right now, because you can do all this reports, you can play around with the formatting using previous sessions bills and just figure out exactly how you want to get the information to yourself during session. You'll see on this reports, saved reports, we have a few buttons in here. I can force run this report. I can click on this pencil and edit the report. I can delete my report if I want. And then I can activate or deactivate this report. So you can see over here, I've got these activation, deactivate buttons. I'm going to deactivate because I don't really want this one, but you will see up here. So this is the template reportings and how easy it is to set up and schedule. More likely, though, you're going to want to live in the custom reporting. And this is kind of the ultimate flexibility besides Excel, but in this Excel spreadsheet area. Oh, does someone have a question? I feel like them. Okay, great. Okay. All right, so in the custom reporting, this is where you can pick the exact fields that you want reported. So, and in the order that you want them reported and kicked out to you. So I'm just going to double click on a few of these options right now. You know, maybe you want the last 3 actions, when the next hearing date is, and you'll see that they're finding their way into the matching color coded box. Once they're in there, you can kind of move them around according to what, however you want the report to be organized. So it's super easy to drag them all around. Once you've kind of picked your fields, you can come down here and pick the parameters that you want reported out. So maybe you want the bills that are in a current committee. Maybe you're looking for all the bills in your division that are tracked or that have hearings scheduled. You can do that. And then again, it's just the same buttons, run it now, or again, run it later, and set it up to run frequently, or you just want to save this report for later and you don't need to set up any schedule here. You can do that, and all of your custom reports will live under this saved exports dropdown. So it's that, again, set them up now, play around with it, then you don't have to worry about it next week. Lots of flexibility in the custom reporting. Same with Excel. Again, you just pick your fields. I'm double clicking again, but you're more than welcome to drag them over, move them around as you want to where you want the how you want the bill or the report kicked out to you. Excel's great because then once you get it into Excel, you can even further manipulate the information and move it around to how you want it set up. And then down here, you can make some decisions on the parameters that you want of these bills. So maybe you want to include another place for a monitor bills report, etc. All the different options that we have here for reporting. And again, you can run it now or click on run later and save this report for another time. That's the reporting mechanism. Just remember, you've got your templates living up here in the reports. You've got the custom reporting option and the Excel option as well. So I see most people living here in this custom reporting option. Okay, finally, the last couple. Yeah.
I was just saying, including me. I love this feature.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. We all think about things differently, so it's so nice to be able to like put it in your own visualization way for sure. Okay, the last couple things I'm going to talk about, and then we'll kick it over to Kevin for a few minutes, and then we'll talk about your firm. When I click on the word legislators, I am brought to this legislative page with all of their photos in here. I can toggle between the House and the Senate. It's organized alphabetically, and I can go back and look at various sessions in here. I can toggle between their names. Quick note on this page, you can see their emails and their websites. This is a live email, and their committees will be uploaded very soon. You can use this place to write a note about the legislator. These notes are intended to be very broad and generic and helpful to everyone in your agency. So mostly stuff like maybe their legislative aide's name, you know, some kind of, you know, office hours, something like that, that is suitable for, well, the public and for your agency to know. But that is a nice section to put it, you know, information that's pretty broad for everyone to know so that you're kind of all on the same page when you're talking to legislators and things like that. So keep that in mind on the legislator page. Okay, finally here, we've got the Your Account. What this allows you to do is tell BillTracker exactly how you want it to communicate to you. So as you start to get a million meeting invites for us, there's some space in here where you can really narrow those down. You'll see up here, when you log on to BillTracker, we only default you to this completed reviews email. If you don't want a completed reviews email, you don't have to have that. What that does is every time you ask someone to fill out a review and they complete that review, you will get a notification the next day saying, hey, Michelle filled out these reviews. And that will prompt you to then think about going into the system and accepting those reviews or archiving them so that we can get them into the notes and all that fun stuff. You can sign up for a third reading email. There's also a daily calendar email. So if you want to wake up every day and see your calendar in a, in a kind of printable format, you can sign up for a daily calendar email. This is a very helpful email if you're in charge of sending out a lot of reviews, which is this overdue reviews email. This will basically send you every morning an email that says, hey, this is overdue. That can then prompt you to get into that reviews drop down and paper airplane everyone and remind them to send in their review. Perhaps most helpful down here is this priority levels for meeting invites. What this allows you to do is say, okay, I only want my high priority invites. So at the beginning of the session, you may want all of the invites, all the meeting invites for all the bills, but as session kind of comes to a close or is narrowing, your scope is narrowing, and you just want your high priority bills, you can come in and say, I just want meeting invites for these high priority bills. The same is true with the amendments. I actually really recommend this option because what could happen is if you're monitoring a bill that ends up having 15 amendments and it's not even really on your radar and won't be on your radar, that will be annoying to you in your email. And so that might be a really great place to use some of these priority levels for proposed amendments. Also up here is this daily proposed amendments email. This allows you to get an email every morning that says, hey, we found these amendments on your bills. You might want to go in, check them out, kind of thing. Almost the final here.
This is a clarifying question on the amendments email.
Yeah.
So does it search for amendments on the bills that you are tracking or monitoring, or is it using your word search?
Both.
But
So,
like how, what's, yeah.
Yeah, so it will look for amendments that are in for the bills you're tracking. And
Okay.
and monitoring, it will look for all those
And monitor,
amendments.
okay.
Yeah. But it will also look for any of these keywords that you put in. So if it finds an amendment with one of your keywords in there, it will, so even if you're not tracking that bill, you'll get a heads up that like, hey, we found something with DAS in there.
Okay.
You might want to look at it.
Love it. Okay, thanks.
So then down here in this keyword email, this allows you, yeah.
Do you know if these reset every session, or if we
They-
set a bunch of email priorities last time, will they hold?
They'll hold. Yep.
Okay.
Which is good and bad because you may want to go in and update this list so that if you're not working on the same stuff or you don't want these, some of the keyword searches were too broad or something, you may want to come into this box and clean it up a little bit. So in here, you can come in and put any phrase, any word in here that you would like to do a keyword search in the morning. The key here is this is a Boolean search, so you'll want to keep the any phrases together within quotes. So if, for example, public defender needed to be in quotes, otherwise you would get public and defender, and public is not helpful for your searching at all. Same with like public safety. If you want to do like higher ed, you'd want to put that in quotes. Anything that's more than one word, definitely put it in the quotes. And all you have to do is separate these words by a space. So every morning I get a report with these words in it. And then finally down here, we've got these text notifications. When session starts to near its lovely end and the committee hearings become less of a 48-hour or 24-hour, and they become more of an 8 to 12-hour notification process, we will not only keep sending you the email invites and calendar updates, but you can also sign up for text updates, and it will mirror whatever your priority level was for those. The key here is your mobile phone must match your carrier. So if you have AT&T, that you just put AT&T in there and your phone. And then when we get into those really short time periods of notification or hearing announcements, you'll also get a text from us. All right. So then
Michelle,
remember yeah.
So you will get notified on bills where you're a bill manager, right?
Yes.
But you said bills you're tracking. I thought that if one person in the agency tracked a bill, then it tracked it for the entire agency. Is that not true?
It does track it for the entire agency, but you might not get the announcement.
You'll only get it if you're a bill
You're the bill
manager?
manager. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right, so that is kind of my shtick for today. I'm gonna shove it over to Kevin here to my left and let him kind of walk you through where we are at with some of the news stuff and timeline updates and all that fun stuff. So I stopped sharing, Kevin. Oh no, I didn't. Now I did.
Not yet. There you go. And then while Kevin is checking his getting set up to screen share, when Kevin's done doing a little bit of a preview of some of the other things that are coming, I have a few more housekeeping notes before folks hop off. And then as a reminder, at the very beginning of the training, Michelle had folks double check and see if they were administrators. If you're an administrator, you're going to want to stay on because Michelle's going to go in and go through some of those administrator functions and permissions that only apply to you. So that's kind of what our next 30 minutes or so looks like. So Kevin, let's see if your screen share will take over, and there we go.
Yep, I have to unmute myself. That's probably step one. I was trying to, keep myself from commenting too much during Michelle's presentation. She did a great job. I really appreciate all of the patience and allowing us to work through that. Hopefully you can see my screen. For those of you that are on the call, a couple of things just by way of updates. We are working pretty much around the clock right now to wrap up some updates to the application. We worked with a number of agencies in the interim to identify some of the key pinch points for folks. And it's our expectation that we still need to work with Malia a little bit about how we're going to move forward this session, that we will give folks an option of using some of the new functionality that I'm going to walk through over the next couple of minutes. So on your screen, you can see the calendar. It's going to get a refresh. It's going to look a little bit more modern. You'll have the ability to toggle into individual meetings. You'll also have the ability to toggle between date, month, etc. So you won't see a lot of functionality change on the primary calendar page, but it will just get a new look. Same for bills. They'll get a new look as well. So if I click on all bills here, you'll see they'll have a slightly different appearance, a little bit more modern appearance. We're going to, rather than have you mouse over what each of these functions do, we're going to tell you what they do. Again, you can add bills to the queue here. You can quick edit. Those are features that Michelle just walked you through. And it's just a little more appealing to the eyes. For those of you that use your computer in dark mode, you'll know that BillTracker is not really friendly with dark mode right now. The new application will be user-friendly in dark mode. It'll also be fully ADA compliant. So a couple of new and optimal features there. There's also a new little checkbox next to each one of the bills that will allow you to add bills in mass into the queue, as opposed to just going through and clicking each bill individually to the queue. So that's a good feature. We've moved the filter. Instead of being search up here, the filter will always be available to you up here in the corner. So that's something to look forward to as well for those folks that choose to beta test the application. That'll all live under the bills toggle. Tracking queue is where we've made the biggest changes. So I'm going to hop over there for a second. You'll see in the tracking queue before, you had to go, as Michelle just described, for those users that are using the old application, you have to go through the bills individually. Now we've queued all the bills up that you've put into the tracking queue so you can see them at one time. And for those of you that choose to use this application now, you'll be able to go into each individual bill at any point and fill in the information for that bill. A lot of the functionality is exactly the same as you've seen in the past. I will say for those agencies that have dozens or even maybe in some instances 50, 60, 70 bill managers, you're not going to have to scroll through all your bill managers. You just simply will type them in. They'll show up. You'll hit the return button. and they'll be added to the bill. Very helpful. Divisions, again, the same thing. Rather than scrolling through all of the divisions and clicking on them, we'll have a drop down that will give you all of the individual divisions that you're working on. And as you add them, they'll populate the table. And from there, you can add your subject areas, your position, your priority, all of which, again, Michelle just walked you through how to do it. The big difference between the old version of the application and the new version of the application is instead of stacking all these things up so you have to scroll, we've tried to compact it so those agencies that have long lists of reviewers, long lists of track bill recipients, and a high number of divisions or issue areas, you'll have a much, I believe, better user experience moving forward. So I'm going to close up, again, open and close up these bills individually. Perhaps the biggest change that we're making to the application is now I'll have the ability to select multiple bills either from the bills page or on my tracking queue. So I'm going to select maybe 5 bills here. And instead of entering the individual information one bill at a time, there's a new feature called bulk actions that will give you access to. It will allow you to assign bill managers to all, right now I've selected 5 bills, all 5 of those bills at one time. I can add those bills to multiple divisions at a time. I can assign reviewers to each of those bills all at one time. Same for email recipients, same for any tags that need to go onto those bills. And now when I hit the apply and track button, all of those bills that I just entered that information for as a bulk action, so 24, 25, or 2004, 205, 210, 29, and 2078, all of those bills will be updated at the same time. So now you see I only have that one bill left in my tracking queue. So we're excited about this, obviously, and Malia probably, I don't want to steal her thunder again, but safe to say there's going to be a lot of bills this session, and I think you'll see a lot of bills in BillTracker here in the very, very near future. So for those folks that want to beta test the application, as I said, we're going to be working with Malia over the next couple of days. There'll be more information forthcoming. You'll be able to have some of these new functionalities and features. For those agencies that don't necessarily have a high volume of users or don't want to try to change right now at the beginning of session, we're going to give you the flexibility to keep using the original version of BillTracker. But we do think that some of these features, particularly for those agencies that are tracking, over 1,000 bills, and for those agencies that have dozens and dozens of users, this is going to offer a tremendous amount of time savings. So stay tuned. As I said, our hope, we're really in the final phases. You can see we've got 90% of this working. There's a few things we still need to work out before we go completely live with it. But I'll be talking to Malia over the next couple of days so that folks who want to try and test out the new application will be able to do so. So I'm going to stop there. If there's any questions or if someone wants to see something I just did again, I'm happy to walk through it. But again, it's going to be some big changes. We really appreciate those folks that were on the interim work group helping us talk through this. So we think it's going to be a lot better. I see a couple of questions in the chat. I still have the chat up. If you use the bulk action, does every bill need to have the same bill manager? Yes, they'll all need to have the same bill manager, email notifications, etc. But again, if you know that, for example, you are at OHA and that you have a dozen behavioral health bills that are coming, or maybe you have 50 behavioral health bills that are coming, you would be able to bulk add all of those. Maybe I can show you one more quick example here. I'm going to go back into the bills. I'm going to add a few more bills into the queue. You can do some other functionality. So let me just hop in here, add these bills to the queue, and go back to the tracking queue. The other option here, so now I've got all these bills. Maybe these are all behavioral health bills, or they're all, fill in the blank for your agency. Maybe DSL, they're, specific land use bills relating to, I don't know, citing. And I go up here to the bulk actions. The other option I have is adding my bill managers, assigning them to my divisions, adding any reviewers. And instead of hitting the apply and track button, I can hit the apply selected. Now it's applied those functions, those selections to every single one of the bills in my queue. And at this point, I can go into the individual bill, and if I had additional updates specific to that bill, maybe there's a reviewer that I wanted to add to this bill that I didn't want to add to the other bills, I can go in and add that bill on a specific basis, hit the save button, and all of them will be immediately saved with any changes that you want to make. So very straightforward. Again, we think will simplify and maybe save some agencies dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of hours over the next 2 to 3 weeks as the bills hit in earnest.
I know that, Kevin, I know you have the chat still up, but there's definitely some excitement about some of these. And I just want to thank you and your team for working on this. I know you guys have been working on this, quite a bit over the last couple of months. So I'm really excited. I know some folks are really excited about some of these changes. And we will be doing more, we'll have this training. And then over the next couple of weeks, during the first month or two of session, I've mentioned this a few times before. I do legislative office hours every other week. So there's an hour where I'm online. And if you want to get on and kind of do some practice runs with things, if you want to look at either, just if you're new to BillTracker and you want to practice some things, if you want to look more at bill reviews, we can do a little more kind of training by example in those office hours as well as session gets closer. But thank you so much. And then I think the other questions I'm seeing so much. Oh, actually, Kevin, there's a question about the keyword search will search the whole bill text, not just summaries. That is, and if I remember correctly,
correct.
There's two. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. It searches the keyword searches the entire bill. There's also a search tool in there just for the relating clause. There are obviously those moments in session where you're looking for the right relating clause or you're worried about the wrong relating clause. So you can really dial in that search to relating clause if you want to. But if you just use that keyword or you use the search button at the top of the screen, both of those are full text searches.
Can you go in and just show where the other search option is if folks are doing like a relating to clause search?
In the new BillTracker and the old BillTracker. Let me open up, I think I can probably open up an instance of the old BillTracker here. Let me know if you can see that screen.
Yep.
Okay, great. Just a second. Let me go into. So again, the keyword search at the top of the screen right here, if I were to type in education, it would search the entire bill. And when I say the entire bill, it's the bill, it's the short summary, it's the long summary, it's all the sponsors, and it's the full text of the legislation. So it's not just the body of the bill, it searches the entirety of the bill. So it's the catch-all space to do that search. And additionally, the same thing happens down here for this keyword search. And then this relating to search right here, that searches the much narrower relating clause of the bill. Any other questions about just BillTracker in general? Michelle is still here. I'm still here. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Kim Stephen Rauch with Medicaid Division.
Hi, Kim.
Hi. Good to see you, Kevin.
Great to see you.
I have a number of my staff members who have been getting emails from BillTracker telling them something about their email. Or that just something they should ignore because that's what I've been telling them.
Yes, they can ignore it. We've been working with Malia. A lot of folks get those messages. I will just say a couple of things. We updated our authentication tools for the application. It was a big change that we made. It keeps, again, we wanted to modernize our security for the application. So now the application does require you to verify your emails. When you are entering the emails on your end, and a lot of the agency BillTracker administrators are doing that, we assume that it is an authenticated email. But I will say we have now, I think there'll be an update tonight our hope is that we'll have a link in that email so that folks, if they want to go ahead and authenticate it on their own, they can.
Okay.
But again, they should still, once you've set them up or you've updated their email address within the application, our experience is that there is no problem logging in.
Okay, because I had gone in prior to last session and updated everybody's email addresses. And so I thought it was just a little strange that they were getting these emails this year. So great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So
I
Kim,
also
thanks
have
for
a-
the question. Before we move to the next one, this is just such a perfect segue, especially because we have such great attendance on the line right now. Over the last like 5 years, the state has slowly been migrating kind of agency by agency from our old standard email was, .state.or.us.
Right.
Some of you still have those old emails attached to your bill tracker. So I would ask, especially to the legislative directors and the legislative coordinators for different divisions and programs right now, those of you who are administrators in your agency's bill tracker, if you could go in, review all of the emails for all of your users and make sure that the correct updated modern email is actually what's tied to folks' accounts. Because we do have a lot of people who either have been at the same agency and had the same bill tracker account for a long time, or maybe they have a previous bill tracker account that's tied to an old email. So if you could go in and update those for your division and your agency, that would be a big help to myself and bill tracker just kind of across the board.
One question I had regarding the keywords notification emails that we receive. I know we had asked in the past, will this year's notifications include the keyword or phrase that caused the notification, it caused the bill to be included in the notification? I have a a paragraph long list of keywords and phrases. And so it's often, I have to do a lot of reading to figure out what caused it to be included.
Yeah, that's a very good question. You're not alone in having, 50 or 60 or more phrases or words in that box. For the first couple of weeks of session, one, that's going to return an enormous amount of, well, it'll return however many, it'll probably be 100 if you put the limit at 100 or whatever you put the limit at. As for folks that do elect to use the new application, we've reimagined the keyword search, and you'll be able to add effectively multiple keyword searches. But for those who are using the old application, that keyword search is as you described. It will just deliver what the system actually does is it looks first for something that may have every phrase in your paragraph, and it will deliver that. And then it narrows it down by, the likelihood that you're going to be interested in that bill following that. So that's how the system actually works.
Right, but I'm saying when I get the email, I'll have like
30, you want to see
30 bills listed,
okay.
And I'm trying to figure out
Great.
what was the keyword
Which
phrase
keywords does it match?
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Great. That's a good suggestion. Let me check in with our folks and see if we can update that email to reflect that information.
Awesome, Blossom. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I just got a question about updating emails. Is there any way for individual users to update their own email addresses? And yes, you can go into your own bill tracker. Actually, Kevin, do you mind kind of doing this so they can see while I'm talking through? So if you don't have to have administrative privileges, you just sign into your own account and there's your account piece at the top. And I think if you just click on your account, not on any of the drop downs. Oh,
yeah, I don't think you can. I actually think the admin has to do it.
The admin has to do it.
Sadly,
Okay.
the admin has to do
Yep.
it. So if you're an admin, you do have that functionality. I will say for those of you that are admins, a couple of times with agencies, we've just gone in and done. We can if you have dozens or maybe hundreds of emails to change, you should let us know and we can help facilitate that. Unfortunately, you can't go in and change your own email address, but you probably will know if your email address is not changed if you don't get if you do put in a password request and you don't get that password request.
Yeah.
I would say, and I'm sure Michelle probably said this, I just missed it. If you do hit that reset password button, which is a great tool to just make sure that your application is working for you, do check your junk email. It is an auto-generated password update, and it often gets caught in spam filters.
Yeah.
Can you stop sharing?
Oh, sorry. Michelle is talking to me over my shoulder. She's in the desk
Okay.
next to me. She wants me to stop sharing, and she'll jump in.
Perfect. Okay. So I do think we are going to switch back over. Michelle is going to do some walkthrough for admin. Michelle, I think we have had a request. If we can just one more time kind of do a quick walk through what does the actually doing a bill review in BillTracker look like. And then before non-admin folks start hopping off the call, just a couple of housekeeping pieces for you. This recording will be posted to the DAS legislative website, which I will put that link in the chat here in a moment. We will have this up next week. So if you want to review it, if you want to organize an internal training within your own agency or division and review this recording with them, please feel free. We'll have that up next week, and I will be sending everyone the link to the DAS website where you'll be able to see it. Again, office hours. I think this week we have office hours. Yeah, this is office hours week. So starting tomorrow and then every other Thursday from 4 to 5, I am on a Teams meeting, and you are welcome to join if you have questions that you want to follow up on. Please reach out to your agency's legislative director or legislative coordinator. They will have the link to that office hours Teams meeting, and you're welcome to join. And then the last note that I want to just sort of share again, because we have a really good turnout on this group, is please take this with a grain of salt because we all know how this works, but we do anticipate bills dropping on Friday. And so I think that we're going to see those anytime, they might be feeling really good about themselves and have them live by Thursday night. But I think that sometime between Thursday night and Sunday night, we are going to see bills this weekend. As we know, there's not a hard and fast date for these things, but all signs point toward this weekend, which is pretty good timing for us. So just as an FYI. Those are all the housekeeping pieces I have. Michelle, if you want to come back on, and then, like I said, we had a request in the report I think this has been a lot of information. So for folks who are brand new, they've never seen a bill review, let's just really quick kind of walk through that. If you're just asked to fill out a bill review, what does that process look like? And then we'll do the admin piece. Is that okay?
Sure. Yep. And I'm glad this is recorded because we did fill that out via the email earlier. So that will be also documented here. So
perfect.
What happens here is if you'll be requested of a review, someone will come in here and either ask you to complete a review or an amendment review here. They will come in here, click on your name like so, and then and they might give you a due date, or they might write you a message, and then they will send out the review. Now you have a couple of options here. You're going to get an email, which we'll do again in a second, but you can also just come in right under the bill review and complete the review from here. So you're always welcome to do that as well. So you can easily we'll fill it out right now. Push complete review. It will bring you to the review page. This is exactly what the one on the email looks like. You'll recommend a position and a priority. You'll write some comments. And then you will either attach information if you have information that you need attached into here, any background information. You can suggest a new reviewer here if there's someone else that you would like to review, or and then you can also sign up to receive any meeting notifications. You can see whom else has been asked to review, and then you can submit this review. And now you'll see under the review area here that the review has been completed, and we'll wait for someone to come in and accept the review or archive the review here. But let's say you just got your review, you'll come in here and click on the bill review here. You'll see BillTracker has been, you've been asked to review a bill by your agency, the relating to clause. You'll click on this link and you'll do exactly what we just did on that other screen, fill out the priorities, the positions here, recommended priority, put any comments in here. Review again, and then attached anything, and then you can suggest an alternate reviewer here, and you can submit this review, or you can save it later and it will keep that link live in your email. So we'll do that, and we'll be thanked for submitting our review. And then when you come up to BillTracker, you will see the review living under here. And I should know, we spent some time over here, but under this bills drop-down reviews, this is a really great place to come in and filter by your name. So you can come in and put your name in here, and then it will filter out all of your reviews that you have outstanding, and you can go ahead and fill out those reviews from this page. So it will have a complete reviews button right beneath it that you can then fill out from this page that will look exactly like the last two we just did. So that's a really easy to manage, a place that you can manage workflow for the bill reviews.
And what do we do with our bill analysis form?
You attach it where it says attach the bill review. That's where
document?
you attach it. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. That whole component has been skipped this entire training. Thank you.
So,
and Michelle, can you remind us where we put the bill review form so that it goes out with each of the review requests?
Yep. When we get to the your firm, you'll put it down here under review forms, and that is where you'll add those forms.
Yeah. So I want to a note on the review piece. Michelle, will you just go to the review page so they can see this? So we talked a little bit earlier about the 1 through 5 matrix. Make sure that your team is using that the same way. I was finally able to get that matrix in the chat, so it is in there. You probably have to scroll back a ways, but it is there. When you are doing reviews, you're always going to want to rank it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatnot. State agencies do not take positions on bills without express written permission from the governor's legislative team. So always prioritize your bills, but we're not ever taking a position on bills until you get to that point, and your legislative coordinator or legislative director will help with those conversations. I want that there's a nuance there. When you do that drop down of positions, it will say no position, neutral, support, oppose. No position and neutral are two different things. So we're always going to stay on no position. If anyone has questions, happy to talk about that more, but just to clarify, agencies don't take a position at all until we've actually worked through it, which includes neutral. So please don't tell folks that your agency is neutral on a bill until you actually are ready to do that. Michelle, I do want to note there is something in the chat right now about, in the past, we were not deleting accounts or user accounts. And I believe now we can go ahead and do that and we won't lose that information. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Perfect. Yep. Okay. So I think at this point, if you are not an admin, you are free to go ahead and hop off. If you are the administrator for your agency or your division or your program, please stay on. Michelle is actually going to walk through some of the kind of back-end administrative stuff, including how you upload your form so that the right things go out when folks request bill reviews, etc. Thanks so much, everyone. Really appreciate all the good questions in the chat and the attendance today. So look for the recording next week on the DAS Ledge site. And thanks, everyone. And Michelle, I'll let you go ahead and go forward with the admin piece.
Great. So if you all have this, your firm, this pertains to you. So when I click on the word your firm, I am brought to this page. And this is the page where we define how our agency is going to label the file cabinet, so to speak, where we will assign our divisions or departments. For today, we were using the word division. It's super easy to come in here and change that wording. Maybe you want issues. We'll keep it at division because I'm using that for the other one. But you'll see over here when this is for the tags. So it just is the tag label, so to speak. It is not the actual tags names, but what you're going to label your tags. So if those are issue areas, maybe you just want it to be tags, you can call it a tag. That's totally fine. If you could also take a moment for our Sanity Malia's to update who the key contact for BillTracker is in your agency, that would be super helpful. And then also make sure that your agency's logo is in here so that when you send out reports, it's not our BillTracker logo, it's your agency logo. The next thing you're going to want to do in this your firm before session is figure out the different divisions that you want to file bills under. You'll have a laundry list of these. I strongly recommend going through and deactivating any that you don't want to use anymore, because that will make your area way less cluttered. Or when you go to assign a bill, you'll have less divisions there. You can come in and just add a division. We just need a name in here. And then you can click save, and now you'll see we've got our Sun division down here that we can now start to assign our bills to. You can see which bills are active over here. So you can come in at any point with this pencil and deactivate a certain division area. If you want to do that, just always remember to click save when you're on these pages. The next thing you'll want to do is update any of your review forms, excuse me. So if you have additional forms or different forms for, or updated forms for any of these types of reviews that you want attached to those reviews that send out, you'll want to attach anything, give it a name, and then upload the file here. And then as you get assigned, as you assign a review or anyone assigns a review, this document will be assigned also with that email. So you'll see that everyone will see this email with these things that you've attached.
And so just as an offering, so for example, I upload that 1 through 5 matrix. So every time someone in my organization gets a bill review request, that matrix comes right along with it, because I want them to, really use those considerations when they're prioritizing things. So you can, upload your own bill review form here, as well as, if there's other things you want to go out with that bill review form.
Yeah, especially instructions about what is how to do it. Okay, finally over here we have the users and user groups and reviewers. So this is where a lot of these questions are coming from with updating emails. You can see when I click on the word users, I'm brought to the list of all of our users. You may have pages and pages of users, as Kevin mentioned. If you're updating a large group of them, reach out to us, and we likely can help you with that if people are switching over. You can see in here, we can learn a lot just from this screen. You've got their username in here, whether they're firm administrators, bill managers, and then their various reviewing statuses. This is super helpful over here, this locked out. This is where you can come in and unlock a person. And then over here, you'll see this password reset. So this is where you can come in and force someone's password to be reset. They will get an email from us that says, hey, reset your future or your BillTracker login, and you can come in and they can do that there. The edit will take them into their user profile, which we'll show you in a second. And then this garbage can will just delete them off the screen for you now. So you don't have to worry about that, and it will clean up your user group here. So it's a little bit easier to manage. Let's go in and add a user up here. You'll click on add a new user. You have to give a first name up here. You'll give a username depending on what you guys all use, and then you'll need a an email here, and that is literally all we need to set up a user is their name, what you assign as their user, and their email. You'll see down here we have a number of security settings and user permissions. You can assign someone as a firm administrator or a bill manager, or you can assign individual permissions. When I assign this individual as a bill manager, you'll notice all of those user permissions dry up, and that's because they have all of those user permissions. When let's say this individual, we want to assign specific permissions to, we can go in and give them very specific permission levels on each of these different things. Super easy. You'll probably want them to be able to search all the bills. Just keep that in mind. EOS is end of session notes, whether you want them to be able to do anything with that. And then this little thing is worth noting, these bill reviews and government reviews. This is just for them to be able to either see it or edit it once it's in there. This is not the part where we will put in the system that you want them to receive reviews. And then the most important thing here for this person is that they must be assigned a division. So you will have to say, okay, Ken up here is going to be able to look at these 3 divisions, or this is where I want him available to me. The same is also true if we want Ken to be a reviewer. You're also going to have to say, I want him to be able to be all of these reviewers here. And then you'll select the divisions in which you want him to be available for you to choose his name as a reviewer. I never do these preferences, but then you can come down here. They can do all these under the your account, so this can all be changed later. Then you'll come down here and save. And now you'll see that Ken here, we'll just query him. Ken here has this, he's now loaded in the system. He will get an email from us asking to load in. He'll now be available for us to choose as a reviewer in whatever divisions we'd picked for him. So he's all ready to go. One of the great things here is this cloned button. What this allows you to do is set up the next user with the exact same permissions you gave Ken. And so if you have a bunch of people that need the exact same level of permission, do it one time and then keep cloning them. And then you'll see I've got all these permissions here. And then you just need to add the name and the email and the username in here. Okay. So those are users. These individuals have logins into BillTracker. If they're set up to do reviews, they can be reviewers, they can be users, but they have access into the system. They can see stuff. There is a kind of third level of person in here, and that is a reviewer. These people do not log into BillTracker. They don't have access at any point. They just receive those review emails. So you might have a person that you need to send reviews to occasionally, but they don't need any access into the system. That's a super easy add. You just go to add reviewer, first name, last name, email, and then assign them to the divisions in which you want them available to you to be a reviewer. The same as with this tracked bill notification recipient. If you want them to receive or to be available for you to choose to receive some notifications on the bill, you'll need to click that so that they can manage that. So then we'll just click save. I will need to put that in, but you can do that. And then those people will live under the reviewers here. So again, those people do not log on to the system. The next
So can I just clarify something here, just
Please.
as I'm sort of thinking it through? So the reason that we have to create a profile for them, even though they don't log on and aren't going to use BillTracker per se, is so that when they receive the email from BillTracker that has the review form attached to it, when they click on that link, BillTracker will recognize their email and will let them in to go to that review page so that they can fill it out. Is that right?
Yeah, the link, they'll be able to access that link because it will be in the review. The key for us is that in order to send the review out, we need their email.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay. And then finally down here, this clever little option here, which is this user groups. What this allows you to do is group people together. So instead, if you find out that you're sending reviews to the same 5 people or the same 10 people for one particular issue, you can come in here and set up a group, give it a group type, whether it's bill review group, a fiscal impact or a fiscal review group, put it in here, and then you'll just select the division in which these people live, and you'll pick the users that you want. Oh, Ethan Hawk, that's helpful. And then you'll come down here and save it. And now when I need to send out to this issue area to my son group, I can come right in here and there'll be an option for me in that bill review. What will happen then for us is that we will send out individually 5 different reviews to those people. They will individually fill those out. We will grab them and file them, and then you will and then we'll treat it like an individual review, but all you've had to do is click on the user group. So super helpful if you continually have to ping the same people to get reviews in. And that is your firm.
I'm going to add another one on there. When you are setting up user profiles and it asks for the mobile number as well as the carrier. So a couple things. And Michelle and Kevin, if you're still on, correct me if I'm wrong, please.
Yep.
If you put in your phone number and the wrong carrier, it won't work. It won't process the request. If you put in your phone number and no carrier, if you just leave it blank, then it will still go through. However,
I'm going to let Kevin answer this because,
okay.
Yeah, Kevin's going to answer this because he understands that.
Okay. But then I was also going to add really quickly, I know a lot of you are looking, like opening your phone and looking to see who your carrier is. If you see FirstNet, that's AT&T. If you see Frontline, that's Verizon. And I just put that as an FYI note in the chat, so it'll be there that you can reference back. So Kevin, do you want to correct my thing there? Whatnot?
You got it right. If you don't know your carrier, leave it blank. We'll figure it out. That back when we first built this application, you had to have the carrier. It's less required now, but it is helpful for us to get your carrier so we can troubleshoot if we run into any problems.
I'm glad you answered that because I thought that I had just made that up, that you had to have it, because I've always told people you had to. And that's just because I've been doing it for long enough that I come from the days when you had to have it.
You used to have it. That's exactly
I feel better
right,
now.
Malia.
Okay, good.
Good. It's kind of like deleting users. For a long time, we said, please don't delete anybody. And now we're like, you can delete everybody. So again, it's just changes in how the application works.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, again, thanks for the updates and the modernizations. We are starting to approach time. I do want to make sure that if anyone has questions or wants to see anything, you get the opportunity to do that right now. So I'll go ahead and open it up for just a second and see if there's anything else anyone needs while we have Kevin and Michelle on the line with us. Okay, well, so what happens? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, this is Rosie from OLCC. I was just saying there's so many questions, but sometimes we don't want to come off sounding or holding anybody back for too long on these meetings. So
no, if you have questions, please ask.
Yeah, there's and just kind of filling in the information because everything goes by so fast. So just looking at our own bill tracker while we are looking at what Michelle and Kevin is doing and just going back to it and reviewing it again, sort of more questions come up subsequently. So if anything, I can send that in an email separately or go back and review something. So thank you.
Absolutely. Or come to office hours, right?
Yeah.
And as I said, so basically what'll happen now is You guys can ask me follow-up questions at any time, and then I'll just turn around and ask Kevin and Michelle and then get the information back to you. So
That's hardly true, but you're always welcome to. Malia often has the answer to the question, and we're here to help you as well. So many of you we've worked with in the past. We're particularly those of you who have been administering the application, many since we first started at the state. So we're always happy to help out.
okay. Well, the chat will stay there in Teams for a bit. Like I said, the recording will get processed. We'll get it up next week. Thank you so much, everyone. And then Kevin and Michelle will connect with you guys later.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks. Really
Okay.
appreciate everybody's patience.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.